Good evening and welcome along to another one of our Dundee United live stream series, and it's a big one today. It's episode 12 and we are back for the start of season 2. We've had our first episode last time out on Sunday and now we've got the Europa League Playoff round. 2 90-minute sessions away from potentially being in the Europa League group stages and possibly a game-changing stage for this series. It's going to determine what the next few years are like, so I hope you're looking forward to it. Thank you for coming along this evening. I know it's obviously inopportune timing given the events of the last day or so, but thank you for coming to spend your Tuesday evening with me. I hope you're all well and I hope you're looking forward to this because this could be an absolute cracker if we're lucky. We've got a lot of action to get through today. We've got some transfer news to talk about. Some of it was on an edge before the end of Sunday's episode. We've of course got to try and bounce back in the league as well, which is going to be easier said than done. We've got Celtic away in the first of 2 games we'll be showing today, as well as Dunfermline at home. We've got the double header, of course, in the Europa League Playoff against Gothenburg, and we've got transfer deadline day as well. So there is plenty for us to look forward to. Jen and Keaty, howdy, welcome along. Thank you for popping in this evening. Great to have you all waiting. It's lovely to have so many of you in as always. I hope you're all well. I hope you're not too downbeat about the news yesterday if you're in England. But fingers crossed. We won't be too problematic today. Craig, better not be any goals while Boris is talking. Well, I'm not going to claim I'm brilliant. All I would say is that I'm going to be more interesting to watch than that. That's the only thing I will claim and promise to be. Nana, welcome along. Thank you for popping in again. Great to have you here. Please do chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. Come and get involved in the chat if you haven't said hello. And of course, it'd be lovely to have some regulars and new faces. So thank you for popping in. I hope you're... Many of you probably having to adapt to working from home again today. So fingers crossed there's not too many of you affected by it. But we're here with Dundee United. It is all about 2 Europa League playoffs, quite frankly. The Celtic game I'm going to write off in the middle. Dunfermline, we have to bounce back. But these 2 legs are so important to us. And after a dodgy start to the season, they're about the only thing that can save us at the minute. And that's the real problem. So hopefully you're all... You're all going to be supportive of me because I'm probably going to need it based on our start to the season. Don't forget, in that last League Cup game, Lawrence Shankland ended his goal drought. And that could be yet the most important thing that's happened. I wonder if we can talk to Mark McNulty yet about his goal drought. I think it's too early in the season, games-wise, to talk about form. It probably is. We criticised the last game. Let's try it. It worked. So hopefully he'll get a goal out of that. But in terms of since the last episode, there wasn't a lot since Sunday's live stream. Obviously only the 3 days or so. But we've still got a couple of things to reflect on. And the first of those, of course, is a big money sale, which was Jamie Robson going to Newcastle. 575 grand in guaranteed money, a 50% sell-on clause. He's getting 7 grand a week there. I don't know why he's rated so highly. He's not as good as Tyrick Mitchell. We've got 2 potential Lone Stars coming in instead, or Max Melbourne. So I'm pretty happy with that deal, to be honest. We've still got Jack Byrne to come in January. And we've just got to look for little bits of gold dust. If we get through to the Europa League group stages, it might open things up a bit more for us. So Nanana just did Dresden, Deportivo La Coruña and Clyde. So which one are you enjoying the most so far? Because for me, I quite liked Clyde, to be honest. Deportivo was a fallen giant. I said on Sunday they nearly became my side for FM21 for the one club story, and potentially will be next year. Glendo, been catching up on this series. Glad to finally get in live. You're a Dundee United fan. Thank you for popping in. Do appreciate it. I can only apologise for what's happened in the head coach if you've seen any of that. If you've got to a certain stage, you'll know what I mean. But thank you for popping in. It does mean a lot. And another plus Middlesbrough doing Portsmouth. Oh, there you go. You got lots on the go. I was going to say, Craig said it as well. How many teams? You got more that you can balance than me. I struggle with just the 3 here with the live stream and the 2 long-term stories. I have 1 on camera which I barely get to. L Gaming, hello, welcome along. Thank you for popping in this evening. Almost at double figures within 5 minutes, despite many eventful things going on in England. Do appreciate it. Just finishing, but the one I liked the most was definitely Middlesbrough. Got in the playoffs 3rd season with some drama. Interesting. You're trying to claim you're better than Neil Warnock. I hope not, because Craig might go on to you for that. The legend that is. But let's go and have a look at this side, shall we? It has been An interesting start to the season. 2 strikers on a goal drought. Otherwise, a very good side playing well but not getting the wins they deserve. And now a big European moment. So thank you to everyone that's come on in. It's great to be at double figures in 5 minutes. If you haven't yet, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. It does make such a difference. Come and get involved in the chat. Come and have a laugh. And hopefully we can get a win. Because Europa League group stage football changes this save financially. And changes this club long term. So let's have a look. Jed and Keaty. I'm currently managing in Malaysia. No idea what's going on. Can you name a side for me? I don't know if I've heard of any Malaysian sides, to be honest. But I'll be interested to know who you're managing. Have you got any players we might know? Craig Savage. He's excited by that. Oh, Gaming, is the sound all right for everyone else? Tell me if not, because I'll unplug and go back in again if need be. Is it crackly? Oh, so well, Craig says yes. So it might not be me for once. I'm hoping not. I do owe an apology regarding the mic anyway. Because on Monday to Thursday, this week's videos, I did after a Windows 10 update and the mic settings always reset and I forgot to change them back. So I'm a little bit louder than normal and there's the odd bit where it just goes a bit crackly. But from Friday onwards, we're back to normal. And just in case, for those of you who follow the head coach, if you thought it was just starting to settle down, now we've got our bigger move, you are very much mistaken, because on Friday, it's probably one of the ones not to miss in this series. Nanana, the 2 teams might be another Fallen Giants. Are going to continue watching your Fallen Giant. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many of them about at the moment who have just collapsed through the leagues that there's loads of options across Europe and beyond, which is great. I'm managing Selangor FA. Can't say I've heard of them. Oh, Gaming, you're fine. Good. Glad to hear it. Jed and Kitty, never heard of a single player. Sound is fine as well. Good. Glad to hear it. What's the league like? How many teams? What sort of setup have we got going on? Because I've always said this. The head coach, I'd love to expand it worldwide. I mean, I have China and US loaded as a sort of retirement league at the end. But if I don't have a better PC, quite frankly, I can't do it. So for now, unless it's a one club story, which I doubt, we'll be sticking to mostly European. The only bizarre one I've managed in is India, which I really enjoyed, but that was off camera a few years back. Kamashnin, welcome from Croatia. Thanks for popping in. I presume your name changed there since Sunday, but thank you for coming in. Do appreciate it. El Gaming, you're wrong with Arsenal and right with United. There you go. It's a game of opinions. Some are right, some are wrong. It is what it is. I'm hoping I'm going to be right on Wrexham, but I'm getting a bit worried about the amount of games piling up, to be quite frank, because it is getting to the stage where, a bit like Dover at the bottom, how do you catch up if you're that many behind? We're still waiting to find out if Luton's FA Cup game will be on at the weekend, given the recent events. Tom, good evening. Thanks for popping in. I hope you're adapting okay to working at home again. Craig, 21 is coming. Suddenly you're a United fan over a Luton fan again, Craig, now are you? I said at the start of the season, and Tom will be able to prove that via WhatsApp, that I said Liverpool would finish 4th. So hopefully I'm proven right. I did say Tottenham 2nd, but then Mourinho started going defensive again. I know he got panicked by the 3-3, but I think that he probably, arguably, would have been better off sticking with that shape. What was the wrong Arsenal opinion? Well, most of these guys thought they were in a relegation battle, Tom. And you were edging towards Arteta out. You were definitely Lacazette out. And you were definitely Xhaka out. So, you know, the Arsenal fans don't really... And I will stick that to United fans as well. If you're saying Ollie out and Arteta out, and now Lampard out started going as well, a lot of it, just pack it in, please. Leon, good evening to my favourite hat. I hope you're well. Thank you for popping in. Do appreciate it. I am well. I hope you are as well. Tuesday's my day off, so I'm always happier on a Tuesday. Jed and Keaty, I've only just joined the league. 5 games left of the season. Seems there's an 11-team league, but now in a group stage cup. Wow. Yeah, I quite like the Indian league because it's got quite lenient foreign rules. So you can get a few superstars in and a lot of the experienced players. Yeah, the Klopp interview was a bit of a bizarre one. Yeah, I had them 4th at the start of the season. Tom will tell you. I think I had City... first. I had Tottenham 2nd. I can't remember who I had 3rd. It would have been either Chelsea or United. I think United, because I had Chelsea to flop, I think, which looks like being one of my few right opinions there. Now, Tom, I'm not saying you said Arteta out. I said that you were starting to doubt it, and you definitely made comments to that assumption, and you definitely said you wanted Lacazette out, and you weren't a fan of Xhaka. I think you said, I don't want him to ever play again for this club. But I might be slightly mixing up the words, but it was along those lines. Liverpool by far the best team in the league. They've played 2 midfielders at the back. I don't know. Squad depth's a key part of it. I think Liverpool are still the best team in the league going forward, but I do worry that it's just a bit too much this season. Leon, for me, City are the better team. The depth they have is too big. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing. They've got 2 players in every position. The only one they're a bit struggling with is the holding midfielder, really. Craig, yes, I did have Liverpool 4th. I think it must have been United I had 3rd, because I had Chelsea to flop. I didn't think Arsenal would be right up there, so it must have been. But Leicester are looking like being up there as well. Zalobo, thank you for popping in from Portugal. Another new country on the list. Number 21 since FM21 came out. Thank you for the support. It's really nice to see for someone sitting at the desk in Luton to be able to get greetings from Portugal and Croatia and all of these places. It's absolutely mad to me. So thank you for coming in. Tom, I still want Xhaka gone. See, for me in a back 3, I think he's all right. I think it's only when you go back 4, which I guess long term he looks like doing, that he's a bit of a liability. L Gaming, do you not like Liverpool or something? No, I'm not. I don't dislike Liverpool, actually. I'm a massive fan of Jurgen Klopp. I'm big fan of a lot of their players. Jordan Henderson's one of my favourite Premier League players. But I think they'll finish 4th. It's just my opinion. I said it at the start of the year. I didn't think they were quite strong enough squad depth-wise. They lost a little bit of ground in the transfer window, so we'll see. Craig, evening from Texas, number 22. We've got the USA out as well. Thank you for popping in. Do appreciate it. I hope you're all well. Craig's going Viva Ronaldo. Tom's going Portuguese. I know you were learning a little bit, weren't you? So it's lovely to have such a variety here. In double figures on a Tuesday afternoon. Do appreciate it all. And Dylan's in as well. Welcome. Thank you for joining in. But let's go and get into this first leg of the Europa League Playoff rounds. It is a massive tie against the Swedish side who have got a decent team. And based on our League Cup tie, it's what players we want to take in and out. And unfortunately, those youngsters we wanted to get on the bench, today's not going to cut it for them. So Morris back in for Finn Malcolm, who, by the way, in the head coach, is becoming one hell of a player. I'm hoping he'll do the same here. It's just really getting that mentoring group to work with him. Fuchs will come back into the squad for Fotheringham, and Mockery will be replaced by, I think, a backup keeper. We have to be a little bit cautious in this one. So in goal, we've still got it. Why is the Matheson area saying it's such a problem? He's a wing back on defend. He's a winger on support. Oh, it's fine now. I don't know what that was. So that's the 11 we're going for, I think. The centre midfielders, I think that's the best way to stick with it. And the front 2, if Shankland's ended his goal drought and he gets a few goals, we could be on fire. But I think that's what we're going for. My only temptation is Fuchs for Malin, just because he's played there more for us. But I think this is what we have to do. It's Segrest in goal, Matheson and Mitchell the fullbacks, Finley and Mengi centre-half, Duffy, Malin, O'Reilly, Sporrell the midfield 4, Shankland, McNulty up front, and a good bench including 3 former Luton players. And 1 hero from the head coach as well. Or 2 heroes, in fact, because Chalmers is there too. Let's go and get into it. The away leg's crucial. We cannot lose it. And ideally, we'd like an away goal too. Craig agrees with Tom. Still want Xhaka gone. Craig lost a bit in the transfer market. Liverpool did, yeah. Zilobo, love your series with Dundee. Thank you. Appreciate the support on the head coach. It's gone absolutely mad this year. But there's a big episode coming on Friday. There's another sort of crucial Europa League game tomorrow and then a massive one on Friday. So I hope you're looking forward to the rest of the week from that one. Craig, they've signed Jota and Thiago. The Thiago one has not yet worked out. Jota's done pretty well, but they didn't strengthen defensively bar the backup left back. I'm just not convinced, Craig. Exactly, they do need a centre half still. I think Phillips will move on in January and they'll get in a slightly bigger replacement. That's my opinion on it. Oh, Thiago, if they get him fit and playing well, will be one of the best players in the league. But for foreign imports, it doesn't often happen in their first season. Whereas if you look at like City, I know they got Ruben Diaz, but they also got the backup or assurance of Ake from Bournemouth, who's a solid player at this level. And then Rodri's moving into his second and third year. They've got other players coming in. Phil Foden's becoming a superstar there. I mean, the only surprise at City really is that Ferran Torres has hit the ground running. You thought that might take a bit longer. Tom, Buendia to Arsenal rumours. Good signing. Is that true? He's a fantastic player. I'd rather you pay 30-40 million for Max Aaron so Luton get 4 or 5 million quid. But Buendia's a good signing. A really good... He's probably happy to be a squad player as well, which suits you. Likes the floor though. Bit like Neymar. Yeah, Craig says it as well. Decent player. Solid squad man. And that's what you need. But why? That's my only question, Tom, is why? Because we're looking sort of... In fact, I can't work it out, actually. He's an attacking player. Will play on the wide of a 3 or at number 10 role. You've got Saka, Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe, and all of the first teamers. Martinelli as well. Why would they sign him? I don't actually know. He's a good signing, but I don't know why he would be bought in, thinking about it. Yeah, gaming. The thing is, non-league and lower leagues, there's always loads of players linked with everyone. I'm sure Luton will bring in 1 or 2 this month. We'll wait and see. But yeah, in non-league, you normally see 5 or 6, don't you? And of course, the window's open there till March, so it's not so much of an issue. Craig, City need a striker, yeah. Agree. Yeah, Craig, Max Aaron's linked with United, Barcelona. Can't remember who the other one was. Was it Chelsea, maybe? But, I mean, if it's any of the 3, it will be Barca, won't it? Aaron's, there's no point going to United because they've paid 50 million for a fullback already who's going to start for the next 5-6 years. But, I mean, it'd be great for Luton to have Max Aaron's and James Justin as their fullbacks at Barcelona, wouldn't it? Luton have recalled someone. Who have they recalled? I can't see anything on the club website. Let me have a look at just Google it, see if there's any news with Luton Town. Who have they recalled? I can't see anything on it there. Let me know who it is. Oh, Osho's come back, is he, Craig? There you go. Who's your club in England? My club's Luton Town. It's where I'm from. So, hometown club. Tom, can't expect Smith-Rowe to play loads of minutes. He's had injury issues. Not many options in the number 10. Nelson, Saka, Martinelli or wingers. But Lacazette's becoming a world-class number 10 very quickly. I'm not sure on that, Tom, to be honest. Yeah, so it's Osho who's come back. But I guess that was always going to happen because it would rather him than Kyozo. And it looks like we're really struggling to keep James Bree fit at right back. And obviously, we don't know what's happened with the COVID outbreak. What sort of players are affected, which ones perhaps are suffering illness-wise, unfortunately. Hopefully, they're all back and well and fit soon, but you never know. So here's our team. It's Gothenburg v Dundee United. Let's talk a little bit about Europa League football. I'm going to, from the start here in the first leg, just drop to balanced, just so we can be cautious for the first 20 minutes of it. And hopefully we'll get going soon. We're 1 thumbs up from double figures, so if you haven't yet, please do chuck one on it. Thank you for coming in. Come and get involved in the chat if you haven't already. Great to have so many of you along this evening as we try to reach the Europa League group stages and change this live stream series forever. As Finley gets the ball at the back, long towards Shankland. Not really got much direction on it, but we still keep possession and we're boxing them in. If we get that away goal, we can start to get excited. As Finley finds Mitchell to Sporrell. Into the middle, that's poor. And Hallberg's the former... We looked at him in the last episode, didn't we? He's the former Hibs man. Went after they got relegated. As it's out to the left wing for them. Time on the ball. Cuts inside. Not really much pressure on it. I'm not a big fan of the way we're closing down. It eventually goes over. A little bit jolty for some reason. But it's still 0-0. That's all we can say. Jen and Keith, I have to go now. We'll catch up later. Have a great stream. Thank you for coming in. Do appreciate the support. The more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. Right, we're getting a little bit outplayed on the stats here. So we'll see what this highlight does and then we might go positive. As Duffy's playing on the right to Matheson. He's got time to cut it inside to Mallon. And now Mengi to O'Reilly. Can we create that bit of magic? There's the through ball. McNulty ends the goal drought. It's a brilliant through ball from Stevie Mallon. Exactly the sort of thing we signed him for. And that little pep talk with McNulty worked out. And we lead 1-0 in the Europa League Playoff on the road. We've levelled up the stats. We're playing really well now. and the confidence is flowing. This could be a good sign for the Celtic game, who we've got a very good record against. But more importantly, Europa League group stage football is the sort of thing that helps us catch up with Celtic. So let's go and talk to the lads. A really good half. We're going to say we're pleased with how it's going. We're going to get them to keep it up. A few complacent reactions there, which I'm worried about. So we'll keep an eye out on those. Craig, what? Oh, so Craig's asking. Sorry, my apologies. Leon, missed the first 15 minutes. You expected to win this. So we're just about favourites, but it's fairly level in terms of the... I mean, a lot of the players are greyed out because we haven't got the Swedish league loaded. They've signed Hallberg from Hibs, who's pretty similar standard to Malin. Although Malin's got a bigger potential. So it's a close game, but we are expected to nick it. And we've got that firepower as Shankland hits the post. Oh, that was the chance. 2-0 and I think it was tie over. But we've got a corner kick. Malin takes it. Up goes Sporrell. Oh, it's a penalty, is it? Is it a free kick or a penalty? What's going on? I don't know what's happening. We're going to VAR. It's a penalty review. He's given a penalty. Lawrence Shankland, I presume, is stepping up. And he's got the chance to make it 2-0. Shankland, up he comes. Puts the keeper the wrong way. And it is Dundee United leading 2-0 in Sweden. And surely group stage football's on the way. Charlie, what was the San Marino challenge you mentioned to me earlier on FM15? Right, so if you load the Italian leagues down to Series C, the third tier, there's a San Marino club side who went defunct about a year ago. They played in the Italian league system in the third tier. So you take over the club side and the national team at the same time. For the first few years, the national team's very hard to come by. You might want to download a San Marino league from like the Steam Workshop or whatever. But the bottom line of it is you take the San Marino club side to the top of the Italian system. You get them playing in the Champions League. You improve their youth facilities. And then they get good youngsters coming through from San Marino. Then you get them into the national team. You improve the national team and take them as far as you go. That in essence is the San Marino challenge. Used to be one of my favourites. I always used to post on the challenges section of the Sports Interactive forums back in the day. Absolutely loved it. Had some great memories in that one. I lost as Shankland's got a third. It is tie over thanks to Matheson's cross. I used to have a brilliant save there in FM15, but I lost it when the laptop went back in the day, and it's such a shame. It was probably one of my favourite ever FM series. If I was doing YouTube back then, I might have been a bit bigger. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Thank you for all the support. It's great to have so many of you in. I really do appreciate it. Let's go and make some changes, because we have got Celtic at the weekend. And maybe we can rest some people next Thursday and focus on the league. Sporrell's a little tired, so I'm going to bring on Luke Bolton and switch Duffy. I would have brought Chalmers on, but he's a bit complacent. In the middle, we're going to replace Matt O'Reilly with Jandro Fuchs. He'll go box to box and Malin will go as playmaker. And we'll leave the last one for now. 22 minutes to go, but what a night this has been in Europe. 3-0, and if we don't concede here, I think the lead's unassailable. And we've got a chance for a fourth with a Malin free kick. Mengi heads it in. Tedder Mengi doesn't score many. Oh, it's turning into the perfect night. After what happened last time in the first few league games. Brilliant. Leon, yeah, tie over, we hope. Charlie, he did. It didn't go well, yeah. So Zalobo, I did a Christmas series with Luton Town. It was a Saviour challenge where you take over in FM Touch halfway through with the side bottom. And as Charlie alludes to, it didn't go great. It's on the channel if you want to see it. But there is, I've mentioned it a couple of times before, I'll never do a long-term story with Luton. And the reason is I get too attached to the players that are currently at the club. And in FM, obviously, the ratings never really match the players in real life. And I haven't got the heart to then get rid of some of my favourite players who potentially aren't rated good enough for FM. So that's the reason for it. But yeah, I did a short-term challenge over Christmas, which didn't go great, but that is on the channel. So yeah, I did a 7-part series with it. And obviously, I guess the biggest change this year is I've been so lucky over on our podcast channel. We've been able to interview some current and former Luton players and loads of professionals as well, which has been brilliant. There's another one out tonight, actually, with Alan Jenkins, who's a bit of a legend at Stranraer. He was part of that infamous Gretna team in the late 2000s. It's just, it's been one of the favourite parts of this difficult year, is the opportunity to interview loads of professional footballers, something I never thought we'd do. So that's something that's definitely helped as well. But Probably never do a long-term Luton save because, as you'll see from the Christmas series, I get a bit tied up on the emotions of it. A 4-0 win for Dundee United, I think that's tie over, and I think we've got Europa League group stage football, which is a guaranteed 2 or 3 million quid. Even if you then lose every game, you're still getting money in. So let's go and get through the press conference very quickly. I just want to have a quick look at the financial elements of it. So this stage, we haven't looked at. Round appearance money, so $250,000 for appearing in this round. If we then get to the group stages, it is... So it doesn't say how much you get just for appearing there. But per win, 500 grand. Per draw, nearly 200. Prize money for finishing first or second in the group is $1 million and $500,000 respectively. And I'm sure it's about 2 million just for appearing in that round, which is crazy. So that's certainly something we'd be looking at. But of course, we've got the small matter of Celtic at the weekend. A team we had a great sort of stint against beforehand. And hopefully it'll be back. Got to go for a bit, might be back soon. Now, Gaming, thanks for popping in. Do appreciate it. Craig's trying to plug the network series from FM20, where obviously he got out on top and featured. So, no shock there. Leon had a lot on within the past week, so I'm looking forward to catching up with the head coach and building a nation tonight. Must have 6 to 7 to watch now. Well, it's perfect timing with the lockdown, isn't it? So, thank you for popping in. Thank you for coming to watch those. Do appreciate them. And to be honest, the support on the 2 series this year have been ridiculous. I think the first head coach, I don't know if it has yet, it was on the verge of passing 10,000. I'm just going to delay that deal for Melbourne until the loan ones are sorted. And the Build a Nation, I absolutely love those types of save. And as I said, I'll always do the series I would have done off camera, just so it's always feels like a hobby, hopefully. And even so, 4 or 5 days ago, I did the message about passing 2,000 subscribers. And we're getting very close to 2,100 now as well. So I can't thank you enough for what's happening here. But let's have a look. I just want to see if it's got there yet. As it's been mentioned now. So if we go to episode 1 of the head coach, 9,950. There you go. 300 likes up as well. For a channel this size, it's absolutely insane. Tom, any Nacorn news? Only an update to say it's closed throughout the lockdown as well. So at least another 2 months without, which is a shame because in the first lockdown, it was my favourite establishment to get takeaway from. So we've been offered the chance to get Leif Davis. Now, I didn't really want to get him as my backup left back, but when I saw it was 975 quid a week, I didn't feel I could turn it down. And with Europe as well, it gives us 2 really good fullbacks. And he would be interested in a permanent. It's just getting the estimated cost down. But as a backup to Mitchell, that's about as good as you can get. Can cover centre-half as well. He's a good player. And a very good replacement for Robson for less wage and a saviour of 600 grand. It's not bad going, is it? Shanklin's been the best in training, which I'm really happy about, Continues to develop fantastically at 26. It's a shame we couldn't get Nisbet in, really. But next summer we can have a look at it. Or if we get to the Europa League group stages, maybe. Because he's a player that's got a lot of quality. His scout report's run out already, which seems a bit weird. We can get rid of these other left-back deals now. And I'm just waiting to see, because the finances look all right. But I want to take it to the next level. Want to get the club improving off the pitch as well. If we go and have a look at the facilities, obviously the stadium's fine as it is. I'd like to get the youth facilities up to good. I'd like to get the coaching and recruitment up to good as well. And just make sure we've got a really quality club across the board. But that's really the main objective. We've got a few seasons to go in this series, of course. And breaking the monopoly of the old firm's going to take a while, but prize money's going to help with that. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Great to be in double figures consistently on Tuesday night. Your support has been unwavering since FM21, so chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. Make sure you check out today's Bangor City episode as well. Another big episode from that one. I know it's been rebranded, but the Scottish Challenge Cup's still one of my favourite competitions, and we've got lots of action from that this week in that save. And we've now got Celtic in the SPL, which is going to be a difficult one. I'm guessing they will have played Europe midweek as well. Unless Scotland's grown so much that the qualifiers aren't needed, which I can't see this quickly happening. I think we'll make the youngsters available for the reserves just so they get as much football as possible. We'll do the same with Logan Chalmers too. And we'll do the same with maybe just the experienced Mark Reynolds to get him alongside them. So did Celtic play in midweek is the first question. They didn't. So they went out of the Champions League last week and then didn't play this week. So do they just go straight into the Europa League? Do they go into the playoff? I don't know. They must be in the Europa League group stage because there's no talk of a playoff. What about Rangers? They're in the Champions League still. They got through in the third qualifier. They're Champions path because they won it last year. They drew at home to Young Boys from Switzerland, so the away leg's going to be difficult. So it could be a very Scottish affair in the Europa League group stages. We've got opposition instructions. We've got a very good Celtic team to come up against. We've been recommended to change the wingers, which I'm not going to do at this stage. We will take Mehmet off the bench and replace him with Leif Davis. And I think we'll leave it at that because otherwise it's the best squad we've got. I want to get these players as familiar with each other as possible. And hopefully they can do the job for us. So 4-4-2 against Celtic. Again, we'll drop to balance for this one. And hopefully we can make an impression. We've got a really good record against them. And generally we've been really good. So hopefully that won't change. Zalobo, I'm new around here. When I saw the first episode, I was thinking this channel had like 100k subscribers, but I was surprised it was only 2k. Love your videos. This channel will be giant. I do appreciate the kind words. I'll be honest with you, until sort of midway through FM20, I wasn't making great content. And the channel's relatively modern. It's only a couple of years old. I haven't got all the fancy graphics and all of that. But aside from that, this year has been the first massive growth spurt I've had. So we gained 700 in 7 weeks after FM21 was released. So I'm hoping that sort of growth will continue. But the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. So thank you for the good words. I appreciate that you're enjoying it. And I hope you continue to do so. And obviously the live streaming makes a difference as well, because I can interact a bit more directly with people. So as we get into it, let's drop straight to balanced. It worked away in Sweden, so maybe it'll work in Glasgow. Leon, currently doing Ebbsfleet, 3 seasons in, 3 titles. Think I need to try Build a Nation again because it's getting boring. Well, that's why I have those sort of restrictions in. Because doing the transfers and things, it makes it a bit too easy with the player search, the staff search. So that's why I don't ever use player or staff search screen in any long-term series or anything like that. And the head coach is so much more challenging because you're not involved in the transfer side and you get so angry and frustrated by it. As Frimpong cuts it back, Forrest is in. It's a good save, Segrist. But we've got some injury concerns to worry about here. Matt O'Reilly has got a bruised thigh. So I'm going to bring on Ray instead of Fuchs this time because he's a bit more defensive-minded. We'll put Mallon into the deep line playmaker role and Ray as the box-to-box. Carl, any Bloom update? Not on my side of the fence. I did ask nicely if for the head coach I could get one in Scotland for the Cup. Here we're not going to be any closer this season. I think 3rd is the limit at the moment. However, there is news coming. The head coach is changing this week, we should say. There's big news from it. Maybe not in terms of club, but there's a lot of big moments coming. So tomorrow's obviously a Europa League decider there. And then there's a big one on Friday as well. So there could be Bloom updates this week. That's where I'm going to leave it. Oh, Helder Costa drops a shoulder. He absolutely skins the defender there. I think it was Finley he was up against. And it's gone wide of the post. But they've only had 2 shots on target. The possession's even. And on the break, we quite often catch Celtic out. So I'm not going to get too worried about it just yet. We're going to tell the lads to keep it up. It's been a good performance so far. And again, if we can get our first point of the season at one of the old firm clubs, the only thing we'll be disappointed by then is the fact that we threw away the first 2 games. Particularly that Hamilton one where we dominated at home and we really should have won it. But as the hour mark comes up, it's getting a more even game. So let's make changes. Duffy will replace Sporrell on the left, who has been pretty poor. And we'll bring on Bolton on the right. I think we'll leave the last sub for now. They're going to be the 2. We've got 27 minutes left. I am missing not having the 5 subs. But it's into Mengi. There you go. I said he doesn't score many. That's 2 in 2. Roberts, I'm a Celtic save, 3 seasons, 3 trebles, 85% win rate, 41 clean sheets last year. My game makes my big players big moaners to make it more challenging. See, that's why I don't take part in the transfers, because if you're doing a head coach, the likes of Edward and Aya and Cham, they'd be gone within a year. So that's why I sort of look at that and think it's a good thing. And maybe you could do like a youth academy with a Celtic or something like that to make it a bit harder. But I never really start as a big club because I know that's always how it'll end up. So Duffy's knackered on the left. I'm going to bring on... They're telling me to bring on Davis because he can play there. And he's got that more defensive mindset, hasn't he? But Chalmers equally gives us the threat going the other way. But I'm going to do Davis for the debut. And what a game to come on for. Left wing as we lead 1-0 at Celtic with 12 minutes to go. It has been a strange old game this. As Frimpong puts the corner in. Free header for Bitton. Hits the bar. The villain at Celtic at the moment after the Old Firm game. As Frimpong gets it to Costa. Chance to shoot. It's great as Segrist. Either side it was in. But we'll take it. We're clinging on for dear life. But it's working at the moment. I'll catch up with the chat in a minute. But I am not taking my eyes off this. As Celtic have got a throw on the right. Frimpong takes it to James Forrest. To Frimpong. Chance to cross. Free header. Mengi gets there. Out to Davis. Oh, it's not working out, is it? It's going wide to Frimpong. It is all Celtic. It's in by Frimpong. And Segrist has palmed it into the net. What a moment to produce that. What a moment. The Thursday night's catching up with a few of the legs down there. You can see the likes of Matheson and Malone are knackered. But it's a point at Celtic Park. We shouldn't be upset. But we were minutes away from it being a brilliant one. Our first point of the season nonetheless though. 2 much better performances to start this one. Matt O'Reilly's out for a week. He will miss the second leg. And what we have to do now is when we play Dunfermline next weekend, we have to win. We have to start finding form this season. Because otherwise that top 5 just gets a bit further away again. So as we're skipping through, let me come and catch up with the chat quickly. Roberts, thank you for joining along though. I do appreciate you coming in this evening. Leon, don't be spoiling any more head coach here. A day's behind. It's the risk, unfortunately, with the live streaming. It is one of the slight knockdowns of it. But no more spoilers than that, other to say it's a very big week. Macca, good evening. Thank you for popping in as always. Lovely to have the regulars in. Do appreciate your support with it. We've got a recruitment meeting, which we'll come back for in a second. Let me just catch up with the last message very quickly. Leon, RB Salzburg have always been good to do. When players leave, there's always players coming through the youth academy. Yeah, absolutely. And you've got that sort of a special affiliate club relation as well. And of course, they're in our group. So they're an exciting one as well. You'll see Red Bull Salzburg in the head coach. I can tell you that, Leon, as well. But I've named that in the title, so that doesn't give much away. Right, let's get into this recruitment meeting. They think we need a left winger. And based on Sporrell's early performances, they might not be wrong. I don't know about the box-to-box midfielder. I guess we could move Malin over and get one in. So let's just see what they've said. We could loan out Chalmers. He's only a youngster, isn't he? So James McLean will not be coming in. And Shane Ferguson, I don't know that he's good enough, but we can scout him. It's got to be 3.5 stars to come in. Otherwise, it's not good enough. So we'll do a 1-week duration on that. Box-to-box midfielder. Yeah, we are a bit weak in there. Let's have a look at it. Jack Rolls, he's not good enough, is he? No. We'll scout him anyway, because he looks a good youngster. Ryan Leonard, 3-star midfielder. Not good enough. Just a hard worker, really. Connor Coventry, not good enough. We had him at Dover back in FM18, I think. Scott Robertson, too much money. Oliver Rathbone from Rochdale. He looks alright. Probably not good enough, but we'll scout him anyway. And Curtis Thompson, not good enough. So again, we'll go for a 3.5 star. We'll see what happens with a week to go. Let's move on. Look at the others. Jerome Sinclair, I remember that name. Never really develops in FM for some reason. Lyle Taylor, too much money and on too much wage-wise as well. Joe Ward's not quite good enough to break the squad. Same for Simon Power. Eric Peters is too old. Fullbacks we don't need any more of. Nathan Phillips still available as a free transfer centre-half. We've got enough at the club. Federico Fernandez, too old on too much money. Lee Hodson can't be good enough anymore. He's not. James Bolton, Fullback again. We don't need a right back. Eastwood, experienced goalkeeper. Maybe, because Mehmet's out of contract at the end of the year. But otherwise, we'll just wait and see. There's not worth worrying about for now. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Great to have so many of you here this evening. Nanana doing Portsmouth and Yeovil Verona. One of the biggest teams have been forgotten. They've been in Europe 2 times and nobody is including them in their fallen giants. I guess it's just because they've got used to them dropping down, haven't they? Which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, they're a massive club, so hopefully people can get them going. Roberts, I missed the start where you said you don't use the player search. What do you do to find players? So yeah, just natural ways. Scouts, transfer rumours in the paper, players you play against, whatever it may be. Just natural sources, or people you would know. So like for me, I can go to Luton Town because they're my club. And if I took over any club in real life, I'd go straight to Nathan Jones and say, is there anyone you'll let me have? Zalobo, why don't you do live streams on Twitch? So pretty simple reason really. I'm not the most technical person in the world. And I'd like to have everything under one roof for now. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever do it in the future. But I quite enjoy streaming on YouTube. It means I can... I mean, the main reason for it was to connect and communicate with the people who regularly watch the videos, which staying on the same platform allows you to do. I think most of the bigger streamers who do it on Twitch rather than YouTube, it's largely for financial reasons, because you get slightly a higher cut of donations and all of that sort of stuff, which at the moment I'm not asking for or not going for. So later down the line, I've always said I'd like to make this part of my job, but at the moment, part of my streams isn't asking for people to help fund the channel as such, because I have a day job as well. So that's the only reason. I'm not saying it will never happen, but at the moment, it's not really top of the priority list. But yeah, I do appreciate it. Connects you with a new type of audience. You can obviously then get raids from the bigger people on there, but for me at the moment, with a job and doing this as well, the risks or the issues and the work outweighs the benefits. Simple as that. Carl, I'm doing a youth challenge in Portugal, but it's hard to get youngsters that are cheap. Well, that was always the thing in the Portuguese league, particularly if you look like... I'm just thinking about the... sort of like the Benfica, the Porto, the Lisbons, the big ones. They're worth a lot of money, but they're on a very low wage normally. So that's normally the benefit. If you transfer most of your available budget to the transfers, because normally the wage demands aren't that great, but it's a risk-free reward. It's got to be players you're confident you'll make a profit on. Potato Enjoyer, welcome along. Love the name. And I love the profile picture as well. It's a cracker. You can stream to both YouTube and Twitch if you want at the same time. It's something potentially in the future I'd do, but at the moment it's just about, for me, keeping the audience in one place. It's not an immediate concern for me, but I'd like to improve the videos, the quality and the viewership on those first. That's my bread and butter. And then later down, if we can do the live streams as well, then that's fantastic. But at the moment, it'll probably stay as it is for now, to be honest. Certainly in my day job until all of the vaccination stuff and that's done. And then we can think about expanding this a bit more. But unfortunately for me, lockdown doesn't mean any less work. It normally means more. Leon, I prefer the channel as it is for now. It's raw and fresh. Lots of knowledge. Don't forget us when you're massive, Dan. I won't forget anyone when I'm massive. And to be honest, the style of the channel isn't going to change. I get that when you get to the stage where you want to make it part of your job, you have to do the bits where you say, if you can support the show on Patreon, on channel memberships, donations in live streams, whatever it is. I get that that's going to happen eventually. At the moment, for me, it's not about that, and it will. I haven't earned it for long enough. I've not been making good enough content for long enough to do that. But the one thing that won't change is the style of videos. I'm not a great storyteller. I'm not a great actor. I'm not going to be one of those dressing up for transfer specials and whatever like that. But as I said, being a Luton fan, the one benefit is, in the last 7-8 years, we've covered every player basically from National League to Championship. We all watch the Premier League anyway, so I've got a natural knowledge of the top 6 tiers in England that not many would have. I grew up on free TV, so I watched a lot of Scottish games, a lot of Welsh Premier League. I watch a lot of the Irish Premiership on the BBC now. So in terms of UK football, we've got a rounded knowledge. We do a podcast on that sort of stuff as well. So that the style of the videos isn't going to change now. Now I've found my style, it'll probably stay the same long term. And I'd like it to, because I enjoy it at the moment and it seems it's going well. So the longer the better that it can be like that. Potato Enjoy, what's your favourite form of potato? Brilliant question. I'm probably going to go for either a hash brown or a rosti, to be honest. I don't like potatoes that aren't crispy. So I'm not a fan of boiled, not a fan of mash. A crispy roast potato, crispy chips. But for me, probably a hash brown or a rosti, definitely. I don't mind if they're posh ones with onion in or not. I'm not going to be taking any hits on that, but yeah. Something crispy on the outside and fluffy in the middle. That's when potatoes are at their finest. I hope you agree with that. Because I'm sure you are probably the connoisseur. I'd like to hope so with that name anyway. Leon, you might not have all that you've mentioned, but it's real. Well, that's it. And it's not about the... Potato Enjoy, a good roast potato beats them all. Again, crispy on the outside, fluffy in the middle. If you've got them at their best, then I won't disagree with that. But that's it. It's about being realistic. I'm not going to try and be something I'm not. And I did for a brief stint at the start of FM20. I got sort of stuck in this. To be bigger, do I need to do it like I'm broadcasting? Or do I need to do it like I'm a storyteller or whatever? And actually, it had an adverse effect because I wasn't very good at it. So to do it now and to do it properly and just do what I would do, if people like it, great. And as long as it cheers 2 or 3 people up, then that's the main thing, isn't it? So who do I bring in today? We're at home in the Europa League. I'm going to bring Fuchs back in. Davis isn't registered, so 2 of the youngsters will get on the bench tonight. In fact, we could put all 3 on because there's not much to play for. And do we want to rest some others as well? It's worth thinking about. We've got Finn Malcolm there. We've got Fotheringham who wants to get on the bench. Let's just see if any of these injury risks are high. So for Matheson, it's low. I'm just seeing if there's anyone who's got a higher injury risk, we'll have a look at them. But I don't think there is too many at the moment. Because we've not played that many games in truth, have we? So apart from Sporrell, who's not had the best spell recently, we'll bring Chalmers in for him. And in fact, Sporrell can just have a rest from the squad. We'll bring on Fotheringham to the bench. I'd like to get Pearson in for a game at centre-half. He can play instead of Mengi, because later on last season he got quite tired, didn't he? So Mengi out, and we'll put Reynolds on the bench. We're 4-0 up going into the home leg. We shouldn't get beaten here. Left back, we will leave Davis for the weekend if need be. Bolton can come in on the right wing for Duffy. Should we give Morris a debut as well? Which one of the strikers needs fitness more? And actually, I'll rest Mallon too. Let's just rotate the whole side. Fuchs and Ray in the middle. And up front, Shankland or McNulty for the rest. So below average susceptibility, low. So we'll take Shankland out because he's probably the best one. We'll have Morris and McNulty up front. And we'll leave the bench like that for now. We've got Malcolm, we've got Fotheringham, we've got Mockery, and we'd like to get them all football as well. But it's still a strong enough side that we shouldn't lose a 4-goal lead, even against a good team. Nanana, fun fact about Chievo Verona. They made it to the Champions League in near the 2000s because of match fixing by teams like Juventus. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The match fixing scandal, the massive moment. And obviously that's when then Mourinho timed his move to Italy and the Inter Milan deal. It all happened for a reason, didn't it? Carl, a nice jacket potato with cheese and beans. See, I'm not a fan of a jacket potato. And I know that'll upset a few, but I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, Nanana, loads of... I mean, that Italian scandal is probably, realistically, one of the biggest things in European football since certainly since I was growing up watching the game. Now, I'm worried that a few of these are complacent already, and 2 of them are the ones who should be pretty secure, the ones who are experienced and still in the team. So I'm going to watch out for this first half quite carefully, because if we start to falter, we'll change things around a bit. Leon, anyone new coming through the Luton Academy at the minute? There's not any ones that are being massively talked about, as we've conceded already. Oh, am I going to regret this? Am I going to regret replacing nearly all of the team. Oh, we've lost it in the middle again. Oh, please don't say I've done this. They've got him behind. It's just wide. Right, back to balanced. I know it's 6 minutes in. I'm going to berate them. We need to get a reaction. Wow, what an awful start. And it's a throw on the left again. Gothenburg are on the front foot. And I will come back to your questions in a minute. But there's some immediate concerns. Arrogance is a horrible thing in football. Complacency isn't pleasant. And a few of those lads are still looking very happy down at the bottom. And I don't quite know why. As Berglund goes over the top, Mitchell gets there. Only clears it to the fullback though. What on earth is going on? It's flicked on into the box. Mitchell can't get there. Into the byline. This guy's got it into the box. It's going to be 2. Just over the bar. Wake up. No shots. None on target. 33% possession. And Gothenburg, it's all the away side at the moment. It's all for the visitors. What is going on? This is awful. It's gone out for a goal kick. And I can't take my eyes off it to look at the chat because we're completely collapsing here. They've changed shape. The 2 holding midfielders are working a treat. And it looks like it's finally calmed down as we get towards half time. 5 to the break. We trail 1-0. It's still a 4-1 lead on aggregate. But it's a scare we really could have done without. As we get to half time, we'll go and berate the lads. And let me catch up with the chat very quickly. So anyone come through the Luton Academy, as we said, there's no massive ones at the moment. There's a few good players coming through, but none that have been talked about as the next big thing. Obviously, our hopes are pinned on the sell-on clauses for Max Aarons and James Justin, who's just flying with Leicester now. We've got 10% on Aarons and 15% on Justin. Jack Stacey went to Bournemouth as well. He wasn't a youth academy player, but played well for us. But when we were in the National League and then lower League 2 standard, a lot of those players went early on because we didn't have an under-23s. We didn't have a reserve system. It's like we played Bristol City last week and Tyreek Bakinson was playing centre mid and he left us at 16, 17. Akin Famiwo's in the Norwich Academy. So many of those great ones of the last 5 years have moved on. But Luton's always been a great place for it. Matty Upson, Matty Taylor. There's so many of them about. Emerson Boyce, Curtis Davis, Leon Barnett. They've all played Premier League football. Macca, I prefer this style of content. Can't really be bothered with all the dressing up cringeworthy acting of the bigger YouTubers. As I've said to you before, Macca, if I ever get to the stage where I dress up anything beyond putting on a tie for the cup final, then, which even then I gave up with after the first time on camera, if I do anything beyond that, just warn me to get back into my place. Sometimes you just need to be told, but just warn me if I ever get to that stage. You have my permission to do it. Nanana, how's Bree been for you guys in his return to Luton? To be honest, he's been injured almost the whole time. It's just been one of those really unfortunate things. But he's got great potential. I'm sure he'll do well for us afterwards. Leon, when I was growing up, Italian football was the best, and now it's finally starting to recover. Went to watch AC Milan v Udinese early last year, even took the misses. Brilliant stuff. So what era were you growing up, if you don't mind me asking a rude question? I'm presuming you were growing up when the Italian football was on Channel 4 and things like that in the 90s. Because I was growing up the early 2000s and that was just as it was in the decline. And obviously it had that glory year with Mourinho. And then Juventus have started to come back in the last 5-10 years. But otherwise not a huge amount of Italian football available. Of course, in the UK now it's on Free Sports occasionally, which is great to see. Normally get a game a week. So Lobo, what's your day job? So I manage a GP surgery. So NHS work. So at the moment, obviously quite busy given the unfortunate situation of the world. But it's getting there slowly, I hope. So I'm going to get a bit angry about this first half because it was not a good performance. And we'll get 3 of those youngsters on soon because at least they won't be complacent. They'll really have a go for it. Shades of the 87 UEFA Cup final when Gothenburg beat United in the final. They are not going to win this tie on aggregate, Macca, I promise you. Even if I have to make subs and bend some rules and time waste my heart's content, I will make sure it happens. So, who normally starts that we'd like to get off? First one will be Matheson. So, Bolton will go right back and Fotheringham right wing. Fuchs and Ray have both been awful. Fuchs is complacent though, so he will be replaced by Mockery. And Malcolm on for McNulty up front. The 3 youngsters are on. Malcolm's better as the advanced forward, so we'll leave it at that. I think that's all we need to do for now. We've just got to keep people on their toes. We've got 3 of the complacent players off and it helps. Carl, when I was growing up, Italian football is when I could settle down for a 90-minute sleep. Leon, born in 94, so you're a year younger than me. So when I was 6 or 7, I was glued to the telly watching it. See, it had already gone behind the paywall then for me. Oh dear. Oh, I'm getting a bit nervy. You might not see me in the chat for 10 minutes again. Gothenburg have gone 2-0 up. They have pasted us in this match. I don't know if I want to go time wasting and all of that stuff yet. We've got to the final 10 minutes. I think I'm going to leave it, because if we do it any quicker, it's only going to invite more pressure. We've got to stoppage time. 4 minutes to go, and we've still got the 2-goal aggregate lead. We must do it. As Pearson takes a free kick, him and Ray, the 2 Luton boys, have been woeful actually. Long ball forward, hoofed out by Bergland. If they get a third, the last minute is going to be absolutely chaos. Hallberg gets it left. This is not what I anticipated. Remind me not to make multiple changes again. Oh, keeper! What are you doing, Seagrist? He's dropped it straight through his hands. It's 3-0. Discipline, time waste. Regroup, slow it down. You know the drill. My word, how have we got to this? Surely there's only 50 seconds to go. It can't go wrong now. It's too late. It's too late. But, geez, we just thought the season was back on track. That is the most embarrassing qualification I've ever had. To lose 3-0 at home to Gothenburg and sneak through 4-3 on aggregate. I mean, how the assistant's telling me to say I'm happy with that. No. Pointing a finger, we need to be much better against bigger sides. And there are a few boys there that we've given a chance to in that game that will not be playing regular football this season, and they can have no complaints. However, we are through to the group stage. We get $250,000 for playing in the playoff, 2.6 million for reaching the group stage, and that means our bank balance has suddenly swelled to about 5 million. So that could be big for the last moments of the transfer window. We'll keep an eye out on that. But wow, that shouldn't have been that close. Craig Savage, you were getting very excited there. We just about survived it. Ben, welcome along. Thank you for popping in. It was very almost a sacked in the morning moment. If you'd made 6 changes and then got yourself knocked out from a 4-0 aggregate lead on the road, I don't think there would have been any recovery from it. But thankfully, we've managed to get ourselves back on track. But yeah, I would appreciate if we don't have a night like that again anytime soon. My words. I don't know. I'm not recovering from that very quickly. Macca, Dundee United beat Gladbach in the semis and Barcelona in the quarters and then lost to Gothenburg in the final, and that run in 87. It's madness, some of the things that happen in football, aren't they? You just couldn't describe them. Wow, we've recovered a bit. Rangers are losing a whole team by the looks of it. Tavernier for 12 million, Morelos 15, Barisic 15, Ayer's gone to Everton. And obviously Rangers won the league, so... Although I suppose they're only recouping the money that they've already lost. Those ones aren't there though. They're not in this season, so was that older? Oh, they're right at the start. I'm just looking at who they've bought in. Gilbert from Villa, Massawa from Monaco, Magellan from Ajax, Hinteregger from Eintracht Frankfurt. I mean, there's some good players there, but it's certainly not as good as the ones they've let go. Last season, not a lot done apart from the sales at the end. So I think Celtic might regain their crown this year. Although having said that, they'd sold Ayer, so I wonder if they've kept hold of the others. Because Edouard would be key player, surely, if he was still there. So, Edouard's gone. 10 million, that's not a lot. So he's gone, Ayer's gone. They've not signed much either. Just Costa and Webster, really. Some free agents from United and Celtic, which might help. Josh Doig from Hibs. Good player. How have they got him for £6,000? What a youngster he is. there are some pretty big concerns there. I hope these free agent deals are pretty good. Some of them are. Charlie McCann on loan from, or on a free from United, but then they've loaned him out again. So he's not benefiting the first team squad. I'm a bit worried about that. I've just realised I've skipped the group stage draw, haven't I? I think we've got back just in time for it. Let me just catch up with the chat very quickly. Grassroots coach. This had vibes of the Sampdoria game a few years back. I'll tell you what, it gave me a fright, that one. Thank you for popping in as well. Do appreciate seeing a couple of new faces as well as all of the regulars. Leon, Alex Ferguson still the last manager to win the SPL with a team other than Celtic or Rangers. It's an incredible achievement, isn't it? Right, should we do the group stage draw? We're seeded fourth because obviously, as we mentioned, Dundee United, not much European football recently. But let's have a look. Let's get through the first three and you can tell me which group you'd like to be in. So apologies for the mouse clicking. So there's a couple of groups we can't now be in, obviously. And there's a few groups we'd like to be in. Oh, Grassroots coach Michele, but I changed my YouTube name. Thank you for popping in. Not such a new face after all. Right, let's look at the groups. We cannot be in Group H because Celtic are there. So does that mean Rangers got through to the Champions League then? They must have. Because the Swiss side, Young Boys, are there. And that's who they were facing. So we can't be in that group. Group G has got Leicester and Lille. We'd love to avoid that. Copenhagen, a good side as well. Look at Group C. Chelsea and Valencia. I mean, there's a few pretty horrible groups. I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind Group D, because although Bayer Leverkusen are great, Austria, Vienna and Young Boys of Switzerland are both winnable games. And don't forget, third gets us through to the Europa Conference after Christmas, which has to be our main aim. Group A, although Lyon are great, Sparta Prague and Rostov may be beatable. Group E, Anderlecht and possibly the Hungarians. I don't know. We might as well just see. Let's get through it. Group A, not us. Group B, Milan and Mainz is too difficult, but we definitely beat Astana to third, I think. We've not got them. This is the group we have to avoid, and I just know we're going to be in it. Because to get Chelsea and Valencia and then the Dutch side would be horrific. We've avoided it. Good. This is the group we wanted. Group D, we've not got it. Group E we'll take. We've got it. So Besiktas of Turkey, Anderlecht of Belgium, and the Hungarians, Ferencváros. They played Barcelona in the Champions League, didn't they, this year? If I remember rightly. Apologies, my camera's just gone very out of focus and I'm suddenly barely viewable. I'm not quite sure why or how to resolve it. But we'll see what we can do with it. There we go, we're back. Just a little turn away and all's back to normal. So hopefully you can see me again now. Not that that's going to enhance the experience anymore. Grassroots, I'm posting clips of my sessions. So I created another channel. Oh, that's good to see. Leon's gone Group D or F. Who was Group F again? Oh, I can't say Group F. Real Betis and Atalanta. Too good a group for me. But Group D, yeah, that would have been the one, I think. But I'm pretty happy with where we are. I think we can get third in that group above the Hungarians. And that should mean that we'll be able to get through to at least the Europa Conference after Christmas. Yeah, and Juventus... Yeah, Barcelona and Juventus were in the group with them, weren't they? They weren't great. They did score a goal at Barcelona, though, didn't they? Sure, it's 4-1 or something like that. But I'm quite happy with that. I think that's a decent draw. We just won't make the mistake of resting 6 people again. So it's a tough group in terms of the 2 big sides, but I think third we can wrap up. The scout report for Nisbet, they still want 2.5 million. We can't afford that. I'd love to get in a better striker. But I don't know who we can go for. In terms of scouted players, if we have a look now. Because of course we've got the end of the transfer window at the end of this as well. Doesn't look like there's much we can do there. The other ones are all sort of target men style. And that's not what we really want to do. Will Griggs there on the transfer list, but big wage for not a lot of quality, and he's 30 now. Or Niall Ennis, That might be one. Because he's got big potential. We saw in the Wigan stream series in the beta just how good he could be. Wonder what they want for him. How up to date is that report? Last month. So let's scout him. He might be my one on deadline day. We'll wait and see. Ryan Hardy we did look at as well. He's at Blackpool still. So it's a new contract, or is he? Yeah. So we're going to ask for him as well. But let's skip ahead. We've got a must-win game on Sunday at home to Dunfermline. And after that Thursday night, I'm not quite so confident. Thank you for everyone coming in as well. Lovely to have so many thumbs up on there. Do appreciate your support this evening. Oh, Leon, you meant to put E. Fair enough. We'll definitely get third in there, I think. Dinamo Kiev in a few years with Lucescu has potential in it. The problem is with the sides in those sorts of countries, I count Croatia in that, I count Scotland in that, is they always end up losing their best players too soon. Because, I mean, look at Shakhtar this year. They were brilliant at both Real Madrid games, but then some of those young players who played really well when they had all the isolations, they'll be off at the end of the year. And you just never get that 2 or 3 years where you build a side. It's such a shame. Yeah, Cole, you had Niall Ennis at Queen's Park, didn't you? I forgot about that. Really good there. And at Burton, he was the top scorer in League One in our Wigan beta stream. And they obviously got into the playoffs because of that. Or did they win the league? They might have won the league, actually. I think I've remembered it wrong. Grassroots coach, have you tried scouting Simone Palombi? I can't scout him. I can't scout him because that would be against the rules of the series. We can't go and look for players that we wouldn't naturally find. And I don't know if he'll be in this game either. Because we've only got the British leagues loaded here. Because for the live streams, we can't have loads of leagues loaded or it takes ages to process. Our Rangers and Celtic both won. So I'm just hoping we can get our win and then the league will start to take shape. Who was that with an injury? Under 18, that's okay. So we'll deal with the reserves one after this. Let's get through our game first, because this is massive. We have to beat Dunfermline. We'll make the changes to the team it says. The only thing I don't like about that little bit is it then changes the bench as well, which annoys me. Back four's back to normal. Midfield 4, we'll put Duffy back in on the right. Mallon, O'Reilly, Sporrell. Is O'Reilly fully fit? Yeah, he seems alright. So I think that's okay. The 3 youngsters aren't going to play today. Ray on the bench for Mehmet. And that's the strongest squad. Again, that Matheson thing at right back keeps glitching. But aside from that, that's our strongest 11. We have to win this game. We have to get back on form. And the first 11 have to do the job. Charlie, Ballamina's next 2 games postponed due to Cardiff. Oh dear. The club then retweeted our interview with Alan Jenkins. So did Stranraer, didn't they? So brilliant that both of the clubs he's got such fond memories of have retweeted it. And that's, I've got to be honest, I've said about interviewing pros being such a great part for us this year. As look, David Healy, the current Linfield manager in charge at Dunfermline. It's been really great to get support of clubs and things like that. Like Tranmere and Wycombe were so good to us last year. Some of the Northern Irish sides have been great with us. It's been really good to have that sort of community support. And a lot of the non-league sides as well in England. So it's been one of my favourite parts of it. Craig, Spurs or Brentford tonight? I think Spurs will get through. Mourinho will want to win that League Cup at all costs. Leon, good player in real life, Niall Ennis, on loan at Doncaster last year. Yeah, he's got a lot of potential. But he has had a few injuries in real life as well, so I hope they don't hold him back. There's 30 seconds in, we're on the front foot already. O'Reilly gets it wide to Duffy. He beats his man despite an attempted foul. O'Reilly gets it again to Stevie Mallon. Switches left to Sporrell. Chance to cross. There's 2 in the middle. Goes alone though. And Sporrell puts it straight at the keeper. Should have done better. Leon's asking if the lineups are out yet. Not sure. Craig will hopefully know. Oh, not yet. No, it'll be about 5 minutes, will it? Is it 7:45, Craig? Grassroots coach, I'm so used to having Italy loaded. I always used to because of the San Marino challenge, but just for the live streams, I can't load more than the countries we're working in, really. As Dunfermline are on the front foot, Mitchell nicks it, and this is where we're normally strong on the counter, but Shankland's giving it away. And why is he looking backwards? He always used to go forward. There's just a little bit of a confidence tweak in this team. McNulty's on a yellow already. Siegrist gives it to him. Back to Stevie Mallon. Out wide to Duffy on the right-hand side. Beats his man into Shankland. Back to Duffy again. Into McNulty. Loses out in the air and it's wide to Sporrell. Back to Mitchell. Time on the ball. O'Reilly finds him again. Through ball to McNulty. Has to score. Does score. 1-0 Dundee United. Let this be our kickstart to the season. Into the Europa League group stages, albeit only just. Through in the cup. And now let's get our first league win. Leon, David Healy, what a player, underrated. Completely agree. And he was underrated just because he never really cut it in English football, which is unfair. Because as Finley's off the line, I thought he'd scored. For Northern Ireland, he was unbelievable. As a manager for Linfield, he's been pretty good. And in Scotland, he always did well. So, such a shame. But we all know what the English media are like, don't we? I can see that. That Jenkins interview's gone a bit mad on Twitter, hasn't it, Charlie? There's hundreds of notifications on my phone. As Mengi picks it up on the right to Mallon. As much as we've been good this season, we struggled against Hamilton to be ruthless, and I'd like to get a second as early as possible. As Duffy gets it in, Sporrell's there, and almost on cue, just past the post. That's a frustration, that. 5 to the break, still only 1. Dunfermline not had a shot yet. They've had more possession, ironically. But it's been all Dundee United, as it's a goal kick for our visitors. Long downfield, Finley wins it, gets it down for Sporrell. Into the centre circle to Stevie Mallon, and now we need the quality. Now we need the through ball. Shankland's up there on the right. Chance to get to the byline, delivers it early. McNulty's there, and we're going to win this game. It's 2-0 at the moment, and that is exactly what we wanted. Brilliant stuff. I think we can start to celebrate our first league win. L Gaming, you have missed a very nervy moment. We were 4-0 up after the first leg away at Gothenburg in the Europa League Playoff. I rested 6 players for the second leg and we lost 3-0 in the home leg. We nearly went out and I would have probably got sacked if we lost that. Lampard's not got a great record points per game, but similarly, don't get on the horse too early like the Arteta and the Ollie thing. He'll turn it around eventually. But I did think they'd struggled this year to get them all to gel. We also got a point at Celtic Park, L Gaming as well. And now it looks like we should be on course for our first win of the season. McNulty's ended his goal drought. I don't think Shankland has scored since, actually. Has he scored another goal? Oh, he did. He got one in the Europa League as well. But yeah, a very interesting start. We will make some changes shortly. O'Reilly's back from injury, isn't he? So let's give him a rest. He'll be replaced by Fuchs. And then we'll switch Mallon. I don't know what else to do. Mitchell played both games, didn't he? So let's give Davis half an hour there. We'll save the last sub for a bit. But it is interesting seeing which ones struggled with the mentality and didn't cut it in Europe. Leon, Lampard needs all the time in the world. Always going to be hard to bring in so many players. The problem is he's got to qualify for Europe this year. Whether that's winning the Champions League, whether that's winning the FA Cup and getting into the Europa League. But we know what Abramovich is like, don't we? Unfortunately. Pearson's going to come on for Finley for the last 10. He's the other one that started in midweek, so just a bit of fitness. So hopefully we can't blow it against a side that haven't had a shot yet. And that's the thing at Chelsea. And Chelsea were my first ever example of why I started their head coach. You remember that third Mourinho year where they said you're not signing anyone on a permanent, and the director of football brought in, I think it was Avram Grant at the time, wasn't it? Brought in Tal Ben Haim, Steve Sidwell, and there was one other as well. Can't remember who it was, but he brought in those sorts of players. And then they sacked him when he was struggling in October, November. And that's always been the thing for me. Is you don't have that control. And that's why the head coach series for me, I know it doesn't happen so much down the leagues, but we all saw what happened with Billericay for a few years. It isn't unheard of. So for anyone who claims that the head coach isn't that realistic, which a couple have tried to, I will argue that. Grassroots coach, done my qualifications in scouting and analysis. Shout out to Vanarama Northside, who gave a lot of experience to those who did the courses. Oh, that's brilliant. But in England, I don't like to say this as a southerner because it's a stereotype, but the north of the country is far more friendly. Like, Tom moved up to Leeds, and we always go and start there. It's a lovely place to be. When we went to Sunderland away and Newcastle away, the friendliest people you'll meet. The further north you go, the more friendly it gets. His in-laws to be are from Manchester and friendly people. You know, it's a very different world in the north of the country. It is almost like two different countries, the north and the south of England. Yeah, grassroots. I agree. I don't think Lampard will have chose some of those signings. El Gaming, Leno is poor. I think Martinez going from Arsenal is a mistake. I always said this from the summer. Your local team's Barnet. They've got a lovely new ground, but their chairman's been very well known for doing some bizarre or unfavourable things, shall we say. Particularly with community, with staff payments during the pandemic and things like that. Doesn't strike me as the most sensible or friendly owner in the world, but I could be proven wrong. Even the way things have ended with some of the managers is a bit bizarre, so completely get it. And it doesn't hugely shock me. Leon, I think next year is a big year for him. If he doesn't get into Europe next year, then it's right to start looking at his position. But again, it's too early. We're talking about this after 3 or 4 games. They were right up there playing scintillating football a few weeks ago. The same as Ollie and Arteta were due for the sack then. Arteta's almost caught Frank Lampard and Chelsea. Ollie's going to be top of the table and with the title in his own destiny if he wins his next game. Too much. It's not worth getting on the bandwagon too early. And that's the casualty. And that's why we started our podcast. Out of frustration of the likes of TalkSport and Sky Sports News. Becoming this sort of clickbait media. We saw it even with Leeds with the sort of the Twitter thing on the official page. I don't really like that sort of thing. Grassroots coach. Head coach series is realistic, but it can be depressing, you're right. It can be very frustrating, is the right word. Arbroath being an example. Last year, Salford was painful. But it's realistic. You can't argue with it. You get good ones and bad ones. Zeno, welcome along. Yeah, you're spot on. Glenn Tamplin was basically playing Football Manager with a real club. I couldn't argue with a word of that. He's doing it at Romford now as well, isn't he? El Game in England having a test coming up. I don't think they will. It looks like with the positive tests they've had, it will probably be another cancelled tour, I'm afraid. Leon, nobody talks in London. We're not much better in Luton. Slightly, with some of the old dears walking the dogs and that, but not much better. Are you going to watch the Ashes? Yes, and I'm hoping for the Ashes next winter there'll be a new cricket game. Because Cricket 19, despite the content not being great, was one of my biggest successes on the channel. So I'd definitely love to do the cricket games again. It's something I really enjoy. Stokies are always friendly unless they get beaten by Luton. I've got to say, Carl, I went to Stoke on my own on a Tuesday night. Because I normally go with Tom, but he was away. So I went to the Tuesday night game in Stoke last December. Lovely people, honestly. The hotel I was in, I went to the local food establishments and bits like that, and the taxis to the stadium. That's really nice people. Just about north enough to count yourself as northern, eh? Leon, I don't like leaving Yorkshire. It's a different country anywhere else. Well, that's why Tom moved to Yorkshire from here. So I'm quite often there, pandemic aside. We go and stay in Leeds when there's any of the Northern Luton games, make a weekend of it. He lives literally across the road from Headingley. So it's brilliant for us. We go and watch a test match every summer. Brilliant. Really love it. Yeovil versus Weymouth. I think whoever will win will stay up. Yeovil will be fine. Weymouth, be close. I think it'll be close. Stockport, also a team that gives a lot of graduates chance. I love Stockport. They're a side I've got a real soft spot for. I've said it before. They're the other Hatters, aren't they? But they're a side I've always enjoyed for some reason. I don't know what it is. Zeno, Barnett's attendance was going down horribly before lockdown. Yeah. It's such a shame. It's a lovely new ground. I did quite like the old one, to be fair, but it's just a club that's a little bit mismanaged off the pitch, as so many are. Craig's got the Spurs team there. Not a huge shock. Gone for the more attacking fullbacks. Sanchez getting an outing. Seems to be out of favour in the league. Gone strong going forward. You can tell he wants to win it. That front six, with Bale injured, is his strongest front six. Leon, I'm not calling for anyone's head, but what about Chris Wilder? Do you think he'll keep his job? He should, because what do you expect? The reason he's being judged, if he'd have finished 20th last year on 15 points, no one would say a word. But because he finished so well last year, he's getting slated this season. There is no club in the Premier League at home that misses their fans more than Sheffield United. We saw it with Luton in the Championship. I think he deserves to keep his job. He should have a job for life there. I think he'll walk at some point, but he hasn't been backed in the transfer window. And if you don't sign a goal scorer, you're going to go down. That's my opinion on it. Yeah, Barnet, you're spot on with that. It's a second club to a lot of North London fans, particularly for Arsenal, Spurs and that. But if you're not run well in a community, a lot of people won't then go for it. Yeah, Spurs will win, I think. You never know what Ivan Toney's going to bring up. But Brentford, they've been a little bit inconsistent. But they seem to be getting right. But they've missed a few games recently. They've not played as frequently due to the games being called off left, right and centre in the Championship. Yeah, El Gaming, you might lose cricket and Wrexham. Watch the Big Bash instead. Absolutely brilliant entertainment. Zeno, Barnet do have fans, but they're just locals. That's it. Yeah, they've not got a huge fan base, but they're a club I used to quite like. They were involved in that famous game with Luton where Edgar Davids was trying to get it called off in the snow at Kenilworth Road. But El Gaming, definitely the Big Bash. What do you specifically want to do as a job in football? I mean, I wouldn't be devastated if I didn't work. For me, it's... I'm sure grassroots coach wants the scout and analysis side. For me, it's always been... I'd love to do more coaching badges. I did one. Never did any more. So I'd love to do some more. Barnet just have amazing facilities. Well, yeah, they're all modern, aren't they? But unfortunately, they've not made the most of it in the community. And it's not in Barnet, as Craig says. Okay, I know you don't like that I like Stockport, but unfortunately, they're the other Hatters, so it's not going to change. I'm just looking at some of these scout reports, just to see if there's anyone worth really going for. But I don't just want to spend money for the sake of it because we're doing well, so I might not sign anyone. The left winger, that's not a good enough player, or not an attainable player anyway. He's a good enough one. The midfielders, they're not realistic targets. They're not affordable. I'm not going to spend that much money. So we'll go through deadline day, but I don't think there's going to be a lot. Lewis Nielsen potentially is going to be our fourth choice centre-half this year. So I might just promote him to the senior squad and keep him there. Thank you for making the chat so active as well and all the thumbs up. I do appreciate you all coming in this evening. Let me keep up with the chat again. I think if they go down from the National League, Barnet will be in big trouble financially. I think they already are, Zeno. That's been part of the problem this year. It was a mass exodus in the summer. Yeah, it's close enough to Barnet. It's not officially, and Craig likes officials. Dover are definitely down. Yeah, I backed them to go down pre-season. Another club that the pandemic's hit the hardest. They were always a small fish that performed so far above their standard, and they recruited really well. Their first big mistake was sacking Chris Kinnear a while back, and they've got a good manager, but they've just not got enough quality and not enough budget. And don't forget, they're one of the few semi-pro clubs at that level now. Yeah, okay, you've basically said what I said about Barnet and Dover, letting loads of players go. Okay, maybe one day if I'm a sub for long enough. What's that for? I don't know what that's answering to. Zeno, grassroots, mate. Don't think it works like that. They built a new stadium with a training ground and the pandemic has affected them bad. They'll be in trouble. Yeah, unfortunately so. Yeah, I think the facilities will be a problem. And if they lose the facilities, it's not going to harm them in terms of on the pitch so much, but there'll be no financial assets, basically. Well, to be honest, they don't really hugely, with the new owner, they don't hugely have an identity. They went from the Edgar Davids spell, then they had this bizarre odd spell. I don't know. Then they got Peter Beadle and you think they're changing back. Darren Curry did a great job last year. Peter Beadle came in, you thought this is what they're going for, and then he's gone again. It's so strange. Yeah, but the problem is grassroots coach. If they then lose the facilities financially, it'll be the first thing gone of their financial assets. And you don't know with the dodgy dealings off the pitch, whether the owner will have put them in his hands, whether they'll still be owned by the club, however it'll be like. Leon, Torquay look like they're walking the league. A lot of games to play. I hope they do well. Well, it is an overstatement in the extent that they're walking the league because they've played a lot more games than everyone else. But they are starting to pull away. Gary Johnson's a brilliant manager. I actually backed them to win the league last year when they came up. And I went a year too soon. But I think now they will be definitely close to winning it. But they've still got a smaller squad than some of them up there. So I wouldn't get too excited just yet. Yeah, you're spot on, Zeno. They were always a team. They were always in that bottom five of League Two. I guess about 10 years earlier, Carlisle always used to be the same. They've obviously gone back to a bit closer to where they belong now. But, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. It's always Barnet were down there, weren't they? And then Martin Allen would come back every April. Arsenal have bid for Dennis Mehmet. What? Really? I mean, we'll try and get a bit of money for him because we can get any keeper on a free who's good enough. And the friendly will give us an extra 50 grand. 30 grand, they've taken it. So let's go and look for free agent goalkeepers. Why on earth are Arsenal signing him? That's third or fourth keeper gone too far, I think. Free transfer keeper. So Simon Eastwood we'd scouted, hadn't we? 1.2 to 1.6 grand a week. He's rated slightly better anyway. There you go. Job done. I don't know what Mehmet was on, actually. We'll have to have a look. We are almost done as well. Once we get to the end of deadline day, we will polish off. But looks like a pretty decent window for us. I don't mind the appearance fee because he won't play that often. So we can keep him down there. We'll just try and get the other two bits down. So we're going to have to offer him 1.3 grand a week. What is Mehmet on? 1 grand. So no real difference. And slightly backup. I don't think we can argue with that. Yeah, international teams use it for training. You're spot on with that. Yeah, the Aldershot model, you say that, but then Aldershot gave up on it pretty quick and signed Ross McCormack. And who's the other one they signed recently? Eastwood's coming in. So we'll get that deal over the line. And hopefully Mehmet will then go the other way, which hasn't been confirmed yet. Is that it there? Yeah, Mehmet to Arsenal, 30 grand. Lewis Nielsen on loan to St Mirren, not for 10% of the wages. And Simon Eastwood is registered for the squad. There we go. Is Lewis Nielsen under 21? He is. They're in pretty good shape. It's a quiet deadline day other than the keeper switch. Aldershot's strange because they were brilliant back in the late 2000s. Gary Waddock in charge. Danny Hilton was running the show up front. And unfortunately, it went wrong. Gateshead didn't control their finances well. No, they're absolutely spot on with that. Aldershot under-18s manager. Who is that? Ross McNeely. Don't know the name, actually. Craig, I'm not getting into the Stevenage thing. Yeah, Ricky Miller's the other one who went to Aldershot, the former Luton man. Ironically, he's one of those who was the star at Dover. It was him and Stephen Payne, wasn't it? Under Chris Kinnear, who fired Dover into the playoffs. We can loan out the kids. Are there any of the youngsters who are wanted? Because if we can get some of the worst ones off the wage bill, we might as well. I can't see any that are really wanted there. So none in the reserve, sorry. There's one in the 18s who's 16 years of age. Wanted by Albion. No, we're going to leave it at that. I don't think there'll be any more transfer news, but you never know what sort of offers are coming in on deadline day. Newcastle is a lovely place. I stayed over there for Wrexham Gateshead. Yeah, Newcastle and Sunderland's two of my favourite away days. In terms of the places. Newcastle's got an epic Chinatown as well. And you know me, I'm a big food fan. Aldershot, yeah, it's a bit of a debate, isn't it? The same as we have with Craig, with Stevenage and Macclesfield. Is yes, on the pitch you deserve to go down, but do you deserve to be punished because other clubs are performing better by living outside their means? It's a debate that will go on for football for a long time because this ownership fiasco is not getting resolved with the current owners and directors test. The winger at Dover who went to Billericay, I can't remember his name. I can't either. Love Newcastle, love St James's Park. Beautiful ground. Not the last throwing away end. Well, we went for the Luton game, didn't we, in the cup. Leon, I'm off. Appreciate it. Thanks for that. We're only a minute from the end anyway. Thanks for popping in. Thank you all for being active in the chat. We've got an hour and 3/4 to go. Celtic have made a big acquisition. I'm sure he'll do all right for them. Only 21 as well. Good potential. And there we go. Deadline day is over. A good squad. Just the one goalkeeper change on deadline day. Through to the Europa League. First league win of the season and a point at Celtic Park. So despite that awful scare at home to the Swedes, it wasn't bad, was it? What we're going to do then is get through the rest of the international break off camera. We'll play Livingston off camera as well. And then we'll come back for Anderlecht. So we'll have the cup tie, 2 Europa League matches and 2 league games as well. That will be on Sunday at 10:30. And then, of course, next Tuesday, we'll be back at 5:30 as well. In the meantime, we've got loads of action on the channel. Every day at 3:30, we've got the head coach and Bangor City rotating. Tomorrow, Europa League action and a massive one on Friday from the head coach. SPFL Trust Trophy action in the other series with Bangor. Please make sure you check out today's video if you haven't already. And more interviews and specials on the podcast channel as well. Grassroots coach Modeste, yeah, Ricky Modeste. You're still confident El Gaming at Torquay will slip it away? We'll wait and find out. If they get points on the board, it might be impossible for some to catch up because I think it will go to points per game. But thank you everyone for your incredible support this evening. Your viewership has been brilliant. Your chat's been fantastic and entertaining. And I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't yet, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Yale Gaming, we've been past an hour and a half. We've reached the end of the transfer window. National League highlights for weeks. Yeah, I've noticed that's been missing actually. Hopefully the highlights back soon. I guess there haven't been enough games, have there? A lot of them have been called off. And there's been FA Trophy as well. Thank you everyone for coming along. Appreciate your support. And I'll see you on Sunday at 10:30 AM with lots of videos in the meantime as well. Thanks for watching.